Hey guys, this is Pratik Oswal, founder and CEO of Glide Invest, and we are here to make investing stress free, one financial goal at a time. Hello everyone. So today's topic is passive investing myths busted. So some of the biggest myths when it comes to investing in index funds, ETFs. Today we're going to talk about some of them and see what's right and what's wrong. Let's start with the first one. It says index funds have lower returns than other mutual funds. This is a very, very big myth. In fact, index funds in a lot of cases have actually performed better than most other actively managed funds out there. In a sense, what we've learned, especially in developed markets, is that index funds tend to be great vehicles for long-term investing. And anyone that tells you that index funds gives you lower returns is probably lying to you. Yes, index funds will not give you the highest returns in a category, but as we all know, it's impossible to predict what the highest performing fund will be in 3-4 years time, which is why index funds are relatively one of the safest mutual funds to buy out there. The second myth is ETFs are better than index funds. So people are lured to ETFs today because their expense ratios are a lot cheaper than index funds. But what most people don't see is that when you're buying an ETF, you have to take into consideration the cost of brokerage, the cost of securities transaction tax, which is STT, the cost of a demat account, and also the cost in liquidity, which is what you're buying for versus what you're paying for. So I do think that unlike index funds, investors can pay up to 1% higher, in ETFs because of these four costs, which are not really added to your expense ratio. Whereas in an index fund, when you're paying in a certain expense ratio, it's all inclusive. So the third myth is there are only 2 or 3 index funds available. This is also actually a huge myth. There are many indexes out there. Unfortunately, the only popular ones today have been Nifty and Sensex, but there are index funds across many categories. Today, there are index funds across mid cap, small cap, multi cap, sectors, international, also commodities. So index funds can be gained across all categories that you could think of. The fourth myth is index funds are only for first-time investors. This is actually not true at all. Every investor is recommended to have some part of their savings in index funds or passive funds. These are extremely important for their core portfolio. There is a concept called core and satellite, where core is your portfolio which you won't touch for a very long time. And satellite is a portfolio where you can take a call for the next 3 to 5 years time. So we do feel that index funds are great for your core portfolios, and every single investor should ideally have index funds in their portfolio. In fact, if you look at more mature economies such as the US, you see some of the most sophisticated investors who are only buying index funds. The fifth myth is index funds give you exactly the same returns as the index. This is actually not true. There is something called a tracking error, which is the difference between the returns of the index versus the index fund. And regardless of whichever country or geography you're investing in, every fund that tracks the index has a certain amount of tracking error, which is why investors expect the same returns of the index in the index fund will be disappointed because there will be some level of tracking error that you can expect every year. So in conclusion, what we've seen is that index funds, can have their disadvantages such as tracking error, expense ratio, but we do feel that every investor should have some allocation towards index funds because of their simplicity, their long-termness. You can take a call on index funds and hold it for 10, 15, 20, 30 years because, as we know, passive funds do not really have poor performance. They don't underperform, and they can really stand the test of time. So thank you so much, and looking forward to the next one. You can listen to us out here or check out our website www.glideinvest.com. You can follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter on @GlideInvest. If you want to reach out to me, then I'm at Pratik Oswal 88 on Twitter. Cheers and happy investing. See you guys next week.